and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. My name is Adam Cook and it's episode 404. I'm your host this week. I was going to say every week, most weeks, and I am joined by the delicious Adam Carroll. How are you, Adam?
Full of hay fever once again.
Yeah, I noticed it, man, straight away.
Yep.
Like,
pollen is high today, tomorrow, and the next day. Cannot wait.
I just randomly sneeze now. That's how my hay fever's manifested, and people give you some fierce looks, don't they? You know it too well.
Oh, and I work in a coffee shop.
Oh.
And if I blast out a sneeze, I'm just like, don't.
Please drop some of that juice in my coffee. Coffee that I know that Christopher White would just gobble up straight away. Chris, all right?
Gobble it all, mate. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. You?
It was all right till you started saying you. Well, never mind. You're good though, is what I'm getting
filthy,
at.
That's what.
Okay, just
filthy
okay,
boy.
That's fine. That's fine. I know, and I tell you what, that's beautiful, Chris, because you've let me segue beautifully. Because I know, Matt, someone who genuinely is a filthy boy, and that's Mick Fraser. And I know in the background there, Chris Hyde is also here waiting, wondering, well, who is he going to? No, Mick Fraser's the filthy boy.
It is me, I'm afraid, and hay fever free, like a bastard. I'm afraid.
It's a beautiful
How are
thing.
you? All right.
I'm great, mate. I'm great, and I'm going to introduce now before we waste any more time. He's got the same name as someone else in this podcast, so he's been branded as Chris Heidi Hi. Oh, Heidi Hi Hi. Chris Heidi Hi. Or Posh Chris to you guys. Hello, Posh Chris. You all right?
Hi, you all right, mate?
Yeah, is it sitting in easier? Like, is it?
I'll just roll with it. I'm professional. We can do this. It's fine. Posh Chris is here.
So I don't know about the other lads, but what I'm hearing is I don't like this at all, and I'm going to write to HR if you don't stop. Is it just me or?
You are HR though, so he's fucked either way.
I am. It's a shame that his official file now says Heidi, or Posh Chris. I forget. We need to make a decision on that. Really,
I like both.
Yeah, I like both.
Posh Heidi.
Yeah, but that kind of
It should be up to him to decide, surely.
No, absolutely
So
not.
he doesn't get to decide. He didn't pick Heidi, so
He doesn't get a say in this whatsoever. I like the fact that Chris White is just there going, somehow, even though we're both called Chris, I just got away scot-free. Nothing.
I'm waiting for it. I'm all right with it because you're not focused on it. You call it in Posh, I'm clearly the skank, so.
Well, listen, let the first
Skanky
man
Chris.
in a glass house of
I'd rather
things
not
throw a
skanky,
stone
Chris.
some point or another. That's
my
the
first
saying.
girlfriend was called Skanky Chris. She didn't think
And that might be
either.
the first time I have to edit the podcast. Mind you, not if it's true. Not if it's true. What is true is that we have all been playing some games. Well, sort of, Chris, Posh Chris. You're still playing The Last of Us Part 2. We will be doing that spoiler cast sometime.
I'm
soon.
so close, lads. I'm so close.
Wish
Okay.
I
Are
was.
you?
To
24
finishing
hours.
the game, or
Oh, yeah, and that as well.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited by Adam's hair as well. I'm not going to lie, but I'm not.
I know,
I'm not
yeah.
up the flagpole just yet.
What about that? Like, I'm actually wondering, can I go for a ponytail thing soon?
God, there, but for
I
the grace
had
of
one
God.
years ago, but like, you know.
It's like looking
Hair.
in the mirror.
You're getting that. It's very
Are
Are you
very
jealous?
beautiful.
Like, who's jealous right now?
Oh,
I'm
genuinely.
so
you see that
jealous.
thing?
I have no hair, and then I can't even grow that beard like that. Just
You could. Everyone says that. You could.
maybe.
If Mick grew a beard like that, for those not watching, this is going to be very strange, but we're on YouTube as well. You can watch the podcast and video form. If Mick grew a beard the way Adam Carroll's beard is, I think Mick would, and this is not by accident, well, it is by accident, but I think he would make a perfect lead for a Viking-based Assassin's Creed game.
Oh, segue.
Oh.
I'll take it.
I do. I could see him
I
holding
will
a
take it.
axe. But we've all been playing games. We've all been playing games, and we'll start there because the weekend just gone, if you work out the time zones, Ubisoft had their forward thing and showed some really cool stuff that we definitely didn't record before that happened. So, but we're just not going to go into it. But Chris White,
Yes,
you got to play 3 and a bit hours of Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I did.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get a slot for Watch Dogs. That's, I think, the one I would have rather have heard about. But I have looked at the footage. The video preview is up by the time people hear this, so that you can read about it. Shoot, go for it. I'm sure Adam Carroll's got questions, but what would I'd just wait till you.
Ooh.
Oh, my days.
I really hope that's like a flagon of piss that he's guzzling from.
Jesus.
That is
Stop!
immense.
Did he give you that?
No, they
I've had
didn't.
that for a while.
Where
I
does
just
that-
thought I'll bring it on for authenticity.
So for
Nice.
for the listener, Chris has just drunk from what can only be described as a large Viking horn.
So Valhalla.
Yeah. Talk about the game.
What do you want to know? Adam, you said you were keen to hear about it, so...
I want to know. So the Viking setup is something that people wanted for quite some time now. Yeah. With the new change up regarding Origins to Odyssey, we saw a big change going into Origins. Not so much a big difference going into Odyssey, bar size of general land, which was a bit too much. Where are we with Valhalla? Does it feel pretty much the same? And when I say the same, I want to know, have they tightened up those bits that, like, we kind of always look past when it comes to Assassin's Creed title, like, you know, the kind of the NPCs having kind of not a whole lot of life at times, and the mechanics of jumping around and all that kind of stuff. Like, how tight have they made this one in particular, and what new kind of gameplay tweaks have they put in?
Okay, so in terms of like the NPCs and whatnot, I played a large portion of the game was spent fighting in the raids and the assaults, which I'll get to the assaults because that's something you will definitely want to play more of.
Yeah.
But the land I explored was East Anglia, so there was very few settlements and towns that I got to visit. There was
it's still like that.
Yeah.
Shit on.
Yeah, so there was Northwick, which was it was a typical city from the Viking era. There's all a lot of green land surrounding it. There's people mucking about there, like normal, getting on with their daily lives. It feels pretty much the same in terms of how other cities in like Odyssey. Because I'm playing Odyssey again at the minute, and it's similar, but again, it's that might get fleshed out because it's still not out for another good 3 or 4 months. But the tweaks to the so let's get into the combat.
Yeah.
So with it being a game about Vikings, it's a lot more kind of, the combat's a lot more methodical and a lot more brutal as you'd expect. So you've what I played, I had a typical shield and a battle axe, and what it felt to me like was Shadow of War.
Hey.
So
wow,
that's
the big set off. That's going to set him right off.
The big thing that
game of the year.
The big thing it does is a thing called assaults. So, you know, in Odyssey, there's those battles that you have. Like one of the first battles you have is when you arrive. I can't remember where it is, but the first time you set sail and you have quite a big battle on the beach, and there's like people coming at you from all angles, and you're fighting off up to like 30 people. So it makes it kind of feel like more of a battle. These assaults. So I'll explain what happens in the assault. So you're on your longboat and you're traveling to this castle, and from the castle, so that you can see them in the distance, and they're firing in like arrows onto your ship. So you're having to like hold your shield up to block them. The storms are raging, the rain's falling. You finally get to the castle, and then you all your clan all jump in, and then you're literally engulfed in this massive like battle with about 10 or 15 soldiers. Whilst you're fighting, you've got some of your men are trying to kind of breach the first set of gates, and with a battering ram. As they're doing that, there's guys on the top watching over, pouring down like hot oil on top of them, try and burn them, kill them, and then there's people with ballistas firing at you. There's other arrowmen on top surrounding the wall, so you've got that to deal with, and you've also got the fighting that you're having to.
It looked quite Thronesy.
Yeah. I mean, it's very dank and horrible, and there's just fire everywhere, and it's just a bit chaos. When you finally do breach
that's East Anglia now.
First wall, you then take part in the second stage of the raid, which just flows naturally. There's no pausing or load screens or anything. And then you have to do the same, except there's like a bigger area. And then you breach those gates, and then you have to... The next wave, which I didn't know at the time, until the one of the people on the other end who was talking me through it said that they keep spawning at this point, and you have to go and find the boss. So if you don't go and find this boss, they'll just keep spawning.
But that is pretty Shadow of War kind of thing. Which I thought all that part in that game is amazing. But just to go on this bit as well, right? There's what you're explaining seems like a Shadow War concept as well. But how much of this is also like, is there a bit of For Honor thrown in here?
I just to say, watching the footage, obviously I cut together the video and went through a lot of this, and I have to say, the vibes. I get where Chris is coming from with Shadow. That drink. Sorry, just for those not watching, Chris is just glugging again from that horn. But yeah, the vibe I was getting is probably more Shadow of War because I didn't play as much of it. And I wonder if Chris is getting to this part. But the biggest vibe I got, and I worry about saying this because it might make people go, "Oh my god, hang on, what?" The Witcher 3. Like, there's, because you mentioned in the preview and it's in the video, is the bit after it's an assault, isn't it? That thing you said, the bit after that where you did like the wedding and stuff. Now, like, the game opens. I assumed. Actually, I mean, this is a perfect time to ask you, but I assume the footage or your gameplay starts like at the start. It looks like it's the start of the game. There's a cutscene, and then you come into the fore. You're literally riding a horse in somewhere. It just looks to me like the Witcher 3 opening.
Right.
Riding a horse and like some of the sort of the way it looks in terms of like the flowers. I know, like you mentioned in the preview, it's not bland. That's not the right word,
no.
But
it's as it was.
Yeah, it's not full of places because it wasn't. It isn't. But it looks. It really reminds me of the early parts of The Witcher 3. Every part of it, apart from the nighttime stuff, but even the combat looks. The way the camera is.
The combat itself, you've got your light and heavy attacks, and there's still pins to the R1. Well, actually, in Odyssey, I think the shoulder buttons were like open up your skill trees for. I can't remember, but regardless, anyway. So in this, you're holding L2, and it brings up 4, if you've unlocked them, 4 different skills that you use for your bow and arrow, and then you're holding R2, and it pulls up 4 different skills for like melee combat.
Yeah, similar to Odyssey then, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the moves for the like melee was you've got like a few smaller axes on you, and you just like throw them through the air, and I'm sure this will be in the video because it's one of the parts of the assault which I did a lot of. You throw your small axes around, like, so if there's like 3 enemies, you'll focus on all of them. You've got like
sorry, that bit's not in the video. Sorry, mate. I'm not changing
that footage again.
Well, there you go, exclusive. Exclusive.
No, what I will to describe it perfectly now, right? And what I will do is in this bit of the podcast, people will see it. Okay, so describe perfect, and I mean perfectly, and they'll know if it's you or me that's cocked this up. So please.
Okay. So Burr Castle, as I breach the gates, 3 soldiers come at me. I hold down the R2 button, grab my axes and launch them at each single one of them in the forehead, knocking them down. One of them's shield gets broken. I then take them out with a charge. This doesn't happen quite like this.
No, it doesn't. It does definitely, because I did use the start of that bit. I used the bit where you're shielding. It looks.
It's weird because I will say, like, it took me a while to really get used to it.
Okay.
Not because I've played Assassin's Creed for a while, but just
Chris,
because
we should also say how the preview. There's nothing to hide. It's worth saying that in a similar way to how people previewed Cyberpunk, this was a remote preview.
Absolutely,
it was using a software called Parsec, which I've heard of before. In fact, someone in our Discord mentioned Parsec recently, and it allows you to very, very low latency, basically play someone else's desktop. So. You were doing that, and that's the capture you're seeing is the raw capture from that end, obviously edited into a video.
Yeah, exactly. And it's still a long way off, but the visuals at this point are really good.
Again, the visuals are something I think is interesting because when I first scrubbed through it, just having a quick look, it was late at night, and I was like, I think I said to you, Chris, I actually expected a little bit more because this is a next-gen game and it's running on PC, right?
For me there, I think like. The setting itself is going to be a bit more darker. Like Origins and Odyssey are bright, colourful
No, but this
moments.
is the thing. I think you've got to bear in mind this is a 3-hour, 250-gigabyte file I was scrubbing through just to see what the game was like. And actually, when I went back to sit down and do the video edit, I was actually quite surprised by some of the visuals. It still looks like Assassin's Creed, doesn't it, Chris? But like some of the like the scene which you will see in the video preview where you are holding, you have to press the button to hold the shield as the arrows are raining down. The scenes, like I said, that remind me of The Witcher.
It's
really nice.
The whole the visuals in that whole first assault that I did on the castle are incredible. Like when we all get to finally play it, it feels amazing going from your boat to land to then breaching the castle walls to then fighting the boss. It's just one fluid movement of just incorporating all of your skills. And obviously it's not near the start of the game, so I hadn't, like with every game like that, I hadn't had a chance to build up and get used to all my skills and know what everything did.
What was
fucking, for about 45 minutes I didn't know how to fucking hold my shield because I couldn't find I didn't want to keep going into the options, because if you do that at some events, they're thinking you're trying to like find out some dirty details about something so you can post it. So I don't like going into the options, and I didn't want to ask to sound like a dick.
No, but
so I worked it out in the end. But yeah,
something I was intrigued by is that like you mentioned like how you, and it's in the you literally did it. You're riding around on your boat, and those sections look glorious as well. But there's loads of other Vikings on there with you. Yeah. And I was intrigued because you sort of then jump off the boat and you blow your horn, and you and your this is the thing, Adam, you're going to see this and be like, wow, that's For Honor. You literally jump off the boat, you blow your horn, you and all your Viking mates sort of just rush into wherever area you're in.
Love it.
And yeah, but like,
I don't care. No, I just love that thing.
Man, my concern with that is that Ubisoft have been criticised in the past for basically their games becoming the Ubisoft game. Like the Ghost Recon series borrowed this from there and this from there.
Yeah.
And you know, and remember when they had towers and everything. And that again, they haven't borrowed much from For Honor, so I suppose it's a bit fresher. But I worry. I mean, I'm also.
I was going to say I don't think it like. It's been a long time since I played For Honor, but
and the combat looked different for the record, and you'll see it in the video.
The combat is
totally
Assassin's Creed. The way it plays is.
So just going on the combat there as well, though, Chris. Right? Like where are we now with stealth? Like, because if I'm honest,
not a stealth game. It's not been a stealth game for
years, have they?
Not for years.
Well, I think it just hasn't been an Assassin's game in years, but there is still moments of like Odyssey and Origins that allows you to sneak around places. I feel as a Viking, that's not what you want to do. As a Viking, you just want to just charge in and roar, and just go crazy.
But that's what I was going to ask as well. To add to that, Chris, like the question I had about that was, it's the idea. What I see you doing in the video is, like, say, jumping off, horn, attack, lads, over the top, attack, kill. Sort of makes you look like the baddies. Does that make sense? Because of
well,
the Vikings were the invading force.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's interesting, isn't it? Because you in Assassin's Creed games, you are it's Templars. I can't even remember what it is now. Well, it's Assassins versus Templars, and the Assassins are the good guys, the Templars are the bad guys. And I know they've pulled away from that in the past few games, and it is more of a kind of history simulator, but Vikings are generally seen as, like you say, Mick, the invading forces.
The game, I'm not entirely sure what year it's set, but I think it's early 10th century. So, early 9th century.
And did it have? Did I? I'm again scrubbing through. Did I see like scenes where what are they called? Like glory kills almost. Like when you get the last kill and it seems to zoom in and. Was that it? Because I didn't play a lot of the last two. Was that in the previous ones?
It's not as emphasised as it is now. Okay. But like the story, from what I can tell, is the Vikings invaded Lindisfarne and like that kind of established them to kind of come to Britain and not just take over and pillage and rape as a lot of people seem to think. They wanted to create settlements and grow their land here and try and live outside of Scandinavia. And at this point in the game, it looks like you're befriended the new king of East Anglia, and so you are building relationships there. So in terms of being the bad guys, I think what because I played as a female Ava, and what she seems to be doing is protecting some of the people within Britain. But I don't know at this point, but I think they'll still follow that path of being the good guys. But it's interesting to see, because there was no mention of Templars or Assassins in the part I played, so I still have no idea how that'll factor into it.
I wonder if they'll integrate it much at all, because they haven't done. They didn't
People
really. In
have
Odyssey
lost
that much,
interest
did
in
they?
it.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
think people lost interest
It'll
in
be
it
a
back
mistake.
after
Yeah.
when Desmond Miles was still in it. I think people
Yeah,
yeah.
interested. It was a very weird sort of side story. It was always felt to me really tacked on.
It was just too. The idea seemed cool on paper, but like, it just never really like. You spend so much time in the actual main part of the game that when you get thrown back to this thing, you're
and
like,
it always
oh,
bugged me that. It always bugged me that every time I went back to playing as Desmond or whoever, it was like, oh yeah, all that stuff's just a simulation. It's not really happening. It's just, and that always really annoyed me. Always took me out of it.
Completely.
Really. And also, I used to just roll my eyes every single time it went back to, especially which one is it where you're just fucking walking around in first person and you're going to different workstations and, gee, I mean, who greenlit that at Ubisoft and went, we're going to break up all this like fairly awesome combat and stealth and exploration and RPG elements with you just fucking walking from workstation to workstation with an iPad. It was just an awful decision. I hope that's not in the in the new one.
Yeah, Chris, where are we with regarding like inventory management and looting in general? Like, because I do, like, after recently platinuming Origins, I got so into just picking up everything. Like, it never feels like a chore. In the Creed series, for me, the recent ones anyway, you just pick up stuff and that lovely.
That's what re-piqued my interest in the series.
That trinklet sound of like, ooh, I got something. I don't know
the loot and the RPG stuff.
Yeah, like are we still in the inventory menu of the circle, navigating around and stuff like that?
So from what I saw in terms of the menu, it's the inventory. It's still very similar.
Yeah.
When it comes to the loot itself, one of the things the Vikings are known for were pillaging churches, like for the gold that they had in there, because they're obviously the kind of the place to go if you wanted to gain your treasure. Yeah. So part of the raids have you go into areas and you have to loot it completely to kind of not finish the area, but like they encourage you to loot in these sections. And like there's huge crates and chests in like there was 3 spots within this one raid where I had to go defeat the soldiers protecting it and then loot them. So there's all that kind of loot specifically in those places, but across the land there were all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Like the health system is very good, and you've kind of got a number in the bottom of your screen. I don't know why I'm making symbols off camera, but it's like I'm doing that. You've got like numbers in the bottom corner of your screen, like from 1 to 6, and say you're on 2, you can collect health like in the form of like chocolate and mushrooms and raspberries and stuff. And your health.
What?
Your health.
Sorry.
Hang
on a minute. Go back a bit. What?
Raspberries and chocolate?
There was. I saw some raspberries, some mushrooms in different places. Then there's some chocolate.
What a ridiculous thing to put in a video game. I don't know why that's annoyed me so much, but that just seems ridiculous.
Chocolate health.
Like, not apples. No. A punnet of fucking raspberries.
Well, not a roast chicken.
Punnet of
It's good enough for Castlevania. It should be good enough for...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just put some wall raspberries.
If you're a Viking as well, you got chocolate or raspberries or roast chicken, I'm sure. I don't know.
Didn't say no roast chicken.
Vikings had chocolate.
No. Maybe it was
So
imagine that's the thing that they savaged the game on. Well, this is a terrific video game, but they didn't have chocolate in them. I can't even speak. Forget it. It's not that funny. Fuck it, move on.
So you don't, Adam, you don't physically eat the chocolate or the food or whatever.
Okay.
But what it does do is, say your health bar's at half full on level 2, on a number 2. Oh god, number 2. You eat the food and then the health bar fills up and then it goes up to 3. And then you fill that bar up and it'll go up to 4. Yeah. So you've got like health in storage, if you know what I mean. So if
I don't recognise the metric system of numbers, and I want to go from number 2 to number 4.
And say you've got no resources to gather to increase your health. If you press down on the D-pad, it will use your store of health to refill your health bar. So I found that the health was much more improved than before in terms of getting there. So that's going to help you because a lot of these fights
that's witchery again, isn't it?
Are really difficult.
That's quite witchery again, isn't it? Having like stuff in your hotbars, and you quickly press down, and you quickly eat a bit
A little bit. Spider-Man had the down button when you built Focus, didn't it?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Like, I don't think we can't expect Valhalla to come out and be something that we haven't like experienced in previous games. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
and let's be honest. If I would welcome more Witcher style games, because there are lots of games that are big open world third person RPGs, but there's not many that are like The Witcher.
Yeah, I think I'm just like I'm at a stage with Assassin's Creed that with each release that comes out, I'm just like, okay, I'm up for the setting first off, and then as long as it's just like kept like. Actually, here's something, Chris. I don't know. Like, obviously, you didn't get to see all this, but like, could you get a feeling of the size of this game?
Yeah.
Like, are we talking Odyssey? Are we talking icons galore?
Didn't they say it was bigger? They originally said it was smaller, and then they said, oh, actually, it's bigger.
Because
I opened the map and saw. So I saw East Anglia, I saw Mercia, which is like the Midlands, and Northumbria and Wessex, which are all main kind of areas in the country at that time, and they all kind of had different kings. So you've got that, and then you've also got scenes in Norway, which obviously I haven't seen, but we all know that that's there. So I think you would do very similar to Odyssey, where you travel from one place to the next, but it looks huge. Like, it looks very big.
So are you saying that there is perhaps a king in the north, a king in the southern regions? Are there No, imagine. Oh, do you know what? Because No, don't shake your head. Because Assassin's Creed recently has done those weird dream sequences.
Odyssey did.
It did. Assassin's Creed Odyssey did those weird like
the Herculean trials, didn't it? Where you had to go after,
could 100% put these in there, and there'd be like dragon fights. I have to say, Chris, genuinely, all joking aside, I wouldn't say I wasn't interested because it's a Ubisoft game, it's an Assassin's Creed game. I will say that seeing the footage and hearing you talk about it and reading your words, which you can of course read on godisageek.com, massively interested now. Like I was expecting this to be the stopgap game, but the one that but then the last time they did this was Black Flag, and that is probably still my favourite Assassin's Creed game. And this looks like it has everything in it, and there's even like For Honor in it. And while I do think people will moan that it is like the Ubisoft hodgepodge game, I'm up for this.
Oh, I'm well on for Valhalla. I'm just Vikings, Assassin's Creed. I'm like, fuck. I don't think there's much you had to say, Chris. I just like, sold day one.
See, I tend to like Ubisoft though. I do. Like people complain about the Ubisoft pulling all the. They do keep their mechanics in, but then that's what. Yeah, but I look forward. They're never bad games. Like I love clearing the map.
Breakpoint was
Breakpoint wasn't great. Breakpoint was a bit of a.
For Honor was and is a good game.
Yeah, it is a good game.
So is it Rainbow Six?
Terrific game, Siege. And there's that new one of them somewhere, isn't there?
Far Cry 3, Far Cry 5.
But they just leaked Far Cry 6.
A while ago now. But what was that, Chris? Yeah. Was it New Hope? Far Cry 5? New Hope?
New Dawn.
New Dawn.
Whatever was new. It was.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it wasn't bad. It was. It was more
too
much.
I felt like they marketed it as like a full game, which it was more like a Lost Legacy to Uncharted.
It felt like another Spider-Man situation. Like,
yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll be honest with you. If there is a Ubisoft franchise that needs a rest, it's that one. Far Cry 6 to me is like, no, it's still it's way too soon. Whereas Assassin's Creed, because of how much they changed it up, because of how much Odyssey and Origins changed the formula. Whereas Far Cry 6.
See, they need to do that with Far Cry.
How do you do that with a shooter? How do you do that with a shooter?
Okay, maybe not so much the mechanics of it, but like Far Cry, you could do crazy shit. I always just say this about Far Cry. You did they had Primal. I mean, it wasn't the original Far Cry where you got like fucking Island of Dr. Moreau powers and shit. Yeah. And then they did
Far Cry 2 was amazing. Far Cry 2 was actually
that was quite
it was in terms of its instructional environments and stuff.
And then you've got the Malaria Simulator.
That was Far Cry 2, yeah. And then they did Blood Dragon. And then they did, obviously, was it a New Dawn? I know, but I know people. I didn't really like Blood Dragon, besides the Michael Bean stuff, which was sort of its main selling point. But what I mean is, like, Far Cry's done Primal, and I think they could get away with doing Far Cry pretty much anywhere. They could do Far Cry with fucking dinosaurs if they wanted to, or they could, but they don't. They're like Far Cry 5, which I liked. I did enjoy Far Cry 5 when I played it. But
It's just forgettable.
But exactly, because they were just like they'd done all these things. Oh, we set it in Tibet and we set it here, and then they went, and now it's Montana. And I thought,
but you know what, man? I think that's Adam said it's forgettable. I think that's unfair. I think I'd take 5 over 4. Like 5, I thought the villains.
I thought 4 was forgettable though as well. I haven't really liked it since 3. That
4 was trying to be 3 too much.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the problem.
5, I found 5 really interesting, and as for and we talked about the ending on the podcast ad nauseum. Like the ending of 5 is weird, and games don't do that. But we'll talk more. I mean, genuinely, at the time we're recording, Ubisoft hasn't done their forward event. So maybe it's been officially confirmed. Maybe it's all bullshit. Chris, the other game you've been playing that you and I have both been playing is Ghost of Tsushima, and we'll talk about that next week because for those that don't know, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, and this podcast goes out early to the Patreon supporters, and that would mean we would be breaking embargo at the time we're recording. So we'll talk about Ghost of Tsushima next week. We've got plenty to talk about this week, if that's cool with you.
Fuck it, I'm going to tell you, Ghost of Tsushima is... I never do
do the test card.
I'd be sending you the video files and saying you're editing a podcast this week, Chris. But there's, like I say, there is plenty to talk about because Adam Carroll, how are you?
Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay.
You were very excited about a video game called Deadly Premonition 2.
Yeah. Oh, it was a blessing in disguise.
That's the subtitle. You've played it. I've played it. And I'm going to say nothing yet.
Yeah.
Please speak on Deadly Premonition 2. The follow-up to the also bad but very much cult hit Deadly Premonition.
Okay. Here's the thing. I don't...
excuses.
No. I'd like to say this straight out that I don't know how you're supposed to explain to somebody what Deadly Premonition is and how you're supposed to sell it to somebody and make them go, oh, I'll check that out. Like, it's actually impossible because there's so much wrong.
No, it's a third-person action-adventure game in the style of Resident Evil with investigative gameplay, but also it's got just like a weird story, like a really weird, intriguing story.
The Twin Peaks
I jumped on the first one, thinking that it looked... Because I thought it would look... I thought it looked interesting. It wasn't.
And it is interesting. And the second one is interesting.
Yeah, but a lot of things are interesting, you know.
Yeah.
So
Mick, hey, don't worry, man. We're getting there.
So here's the thing, right? When I played the first Deadly Premonition, I was a big fan. I was a fan of its just weirdness and its Twin Peaks thing. I was a massive fan of Francis York Morgan as a protagonist. And yes, there's so much to be like, that's bad and that's bad and this is bad and so on and so on. But there was something about me and that game going, this is hilarious that this is existing and like there's people out there who do love it as well. And it's kind of like, not to say that that's just kind of one of, I hate to be like, I'm in this group of we like it and you don't, how do you not get this? It's like, no, it's like you just click with it or you don't. And I think the announcement of 2 being an exclusive to Switch was a very exciting thing. And when I got the code and installed it, I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And put on my screen. And I'd like everyone to realize as well that this is the first game that I played after The Last of Us Part 2. So we are going from here in quality to just going, like, we are taking a massive dive down. And the thing about it is, the story, look, it's impossible to explain because I think instantly you're giving away a spoiler from how the story starts.
But they have also said like this game is a prequel and a sequel.
Yeah, but like, you know, man, how do you explain that? Like, in ways, you know.
All I'll say then is that the intro to this game, which isn't third person,
no,
it's more like it's almost a point and click game. I will say, genuinely, I was like, I might be in. This is really cool. And then you get to the bulk of the game when you go, it becomes the prequel. It throws back to a case that Francis York Morgan and Zach investigated. And there's no invert controls.
No, the invert controls.
That's me out.
I know for a lot of people that setting alone is like, oh, come on. And it's fair. It is fair, but this is like the bottom of the list of problems here. Like,
I don't
know,
agree, man,
I
because
feel like
I would have
putting that in a
played...
game is bloody minded at this point.
And do you know what, Mick? It came across that way. I've never had to email PR ever and say, hey, I can't play your video game.
I had to with that Warlander.
I've played
That was
Inverted for 40 years nearly, and asking me to play a third-person game normal, so to speak, it's just not something I can do.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard-coded onto me.
Retrain your
yeah,
entire
but
brain.
even like I don't play Inverted, and even I was having trouble with the controls.
But man, like
you
you mentioned The Last of Us, one of the most accessible games ever made. You can like it or dislike it, doesn't matter. It is one of the most accessible games ever made. You can't even invert the camera. So I was like, well, and hey, apart from the fact that the second the game allows you to be in third person, it's about 15 frames per second. I was even willing to go, no, I will play this. And I was like, wait, where is it? And then the way the menus are kind of integrated in a way that makes it kind of in-game. So I was like, that's why I had to email and be like, sorry if I'm being an idiot. And I just got the email back being like, yeah, no, we don't think there is one. It's like, what do you mean? You don't think there is one?
How can they not think?
I mean, I might
one?
be paraphrasing. I don't want to be
okay.
unfair to the PR guy because they're great to work with and they're good guys. But like genuinely, it was like I think it was more a case of we can't find it in there. It's like, what do you mean?
Here's the main problem, right? Is that the opening part that you're talking about, Adam, is actually brilliant. It's a really cool thing. The problem there straight away though is it's too long. It's just too long.
It goes on and on.
That section goes on for way too long.
And then when you get to Le Carré, just what is it?
Le Carré.
Get it right.
Well, whatever.
Come on.
Well, I mean, no one's mentioned that in the video review, and normally people are right on my pronunciations. But yeah, when you get there, there's yet more exposition and story dump, and it's like, I think it's an hour before you move in that game.
It's an hour before you get moving, and I think the story itself is very like it's very similar murder mystery kind of job.
Intriguing, genuinely.
I think Francis York Morgan in this game is just amazing. Like, I think he is. I laughed out loud so many times during this game, not because of its technical issues, just general like dialogue is actually like really good, and I think like some of the like quotes that he does with all the movie references are fantastic. I think a lot of the characters, there's a great thing that continues on throughout the game where all the other NPCs in the game are looking at Francis York Morgan as if like they're kind of going, what's this guy's story? Do you know? And he's just like totally doing his thing with his hand and like just weird movements, and it goes off and talks to Zach and stuff. And all this stuff is brilliant when a normal character such in Deadly Premonition is going, this guy is a bit strange. And that kind of back and forth banter is really funny, and it's really clever that they threw that in there. But then you see, when you're let to go do what you want to do, the game is just ass. Like, it is just straight up like the frame rate is it's not funny. It's just like, and I know it sounds like I'm being like insanely offended here, but I actually kind of was, because
it's
game,
15 FPS or lower. I think lower.
It's actually like there are moments it made me stop playing the game. Like I finished it, but it made me stop playing the game.
Oh, you did finish it? I was going to ask you if you did finish it. It's like you can get motion sickness from the skateboarding.
That's the
sections.
thing. I was like, oh Jesus, this frame rate is just distorting my vision, and it's just like really giving me a headache at times. And along with the sound mixing,
my God,
oh my God!
But is
the
that not,
the
do you not
skateboard?
think that's intentional? Seriously.
See, this is the side of it then that I'm absolutely not on for. I think this whole thing of, well, look, I think that was intentional. It just isn't, lads. And if everyone thinks that this is intentional, are you genuinely sitting back going, I'm so happy
I'm
that
fine with that. Yeah.
I'm so happy the skateboard sounds like a bulldozer.
And
Like,
it's louder
so
than
happy.
everything, louder than war, essentially.
When you're on the gravel, it is like, I can't even, if I do it now, it will just make people like, it'll hurt people's ears. It is so horrible to listen to that you don't actually want to be on the skateboard, and it's just bizarre.
I find it so weird that there's a skateboard.
And that's the
the
thing.
least
As
weird
an
thing about
outsider, it's just
that's the least weird thing about this game.
So you got all that right, and when you're on the skateboard, Mick, right, and when you're when you're going down the gravel, like York is like talking to himself and stuff. And I was saying this to you, Ed, if you don't have subtitles on, you can't hear what he's saying because the mixing is so off.
Wow.
Like, so it's just a disaster. The combat itself is typical. It's the same old thing from 1, really. Like, it's janky, but you can get by on it, you know. It's not a difficult game whatsoever. And then you have these like moments of the investigations, which are so bland, because you go in and you like profile the scene, and all you actually have to do is just go up and interact with every single thing that's an icon, and then you've just you've completed it, and that's it. So there's no real like testing your knowledge or making it a kind of a puzzler of any sort, you know. So all of them become just repetitive and annoying. And the little things like bowling and the stone skimming, like, honestly, I think I would just rather stare at grass, because it's so boring. Like, that part, like, you do it once and you go, oh, you're just trying to find the knack of it, and then you do it again, and you do it a third time, you realize what you're doing, and then you're just like, all right, fuck that, I'm out of here, onto my bulldozer, and off you go. And it's just like, it's not the one, like, you know, it doesn't, I just don't know what they're trying to achieve here, because if the game was just, like, technically working well in its frame rate and sound design, this game would have more of, like, a talking point of, like what 1 got in terms of, like, the cult following. 2 would get way more. Because this whole thing is just, it's not funny, it's not cool, it's just, it's a real shame. And I think Francis York Morgan is, as I said, one of my favourite video game characters, if I'm honest. I think he's fucking brilliant. And he's in this, like, annoying game that's just like...
Honestly, man, I think it's one of the worst games I've played in over 10 years.
It's weird to me, though, that they would have had the weight of expectation on this game, like, given the following behind the first... Because I don't...
But, man, have you not seen on Twitter, like, Swery is literally out there laughing and joking about this stuff, and his fans are eating it up.
Yeah, but this stuff is just... I mean, that, to me, is just really wrong. I mean, this is a... You know, where's the pride in it if you're just going to go out? You know,
but do you know what, man? Like, I still like the guy.
We aimed at. Well, it's not swearing. You know, everyone likes swearing. I think that's why he gets away with what he gets away with. But it's. I mean, especially like the frame rate and things like that you talk about. I've only seen it in motion in the video and stuff. I will never play it. I'll be honest. But I mean, if you're going to build a game and it's going to be an exclusive to the Switch, why wouldn't you try and build it so it runs on that exclusive platform? What's the point in having it exclusive to something if it's going to run like...
It's worth saying, it's not like it looks tremendous.
No,
it's
it doesn't
not
look
like,
tremendous.
It's struggling to run, it's so good looking.
That's what I mean. I mean, you know, why not? I don't know, it's just weird
saying
to me. It seems like you set out to make a subpar game and then gone, you know, you liked the first one because it was shit, so we've made the second one shit.
Like,
do you know what I mean?
When you had shit for dinner,
it's shit for dessert. I don't know.
But when you go into buildings and stuff, all the frame rate turns normal. It's fine, and it has this weird kind of cell shading. It's not. Look, come here now. When you go into some areas, indoors is far better than outdoors.
Yeah, indoors it nearly gets
stretch.
to 30. You're right. Indoors it nearly gets to 30.
It does. But like when you're outdoors, there's so many icons popping up everywhere that you're like, I don't want to do this because of the way the game is running. Like, and that's its biggest issue.
I'll never knock anybody for liking what I consider to be a bad game. I like some games that people hate, you know, each to their own and that, but it just strikes me as really, really weird.
But then they're saying they're never going to... They're saying, oh, they have no plans on fixing the frame rate.
No, they haven't. They've said the opposite now. Well, they've said they're going to work on it. I saw a video.
Yeah, exactly. We're saying that, and I was kind of like, this is not good enough. Like, when you can... I said this to you, Ed, and I know it's a different beast altogether, but when you go back to the level of craziness that surrounded The Last of Us in every aspect, like every goddamn aspect, and then this comes out and I'm seeing everyone going, Classic Deadly Premonition.
Yeah, like
oh,
I've seen
brilliant.
people like almost
Fuck
having a
off.
go at reviewers who giving it like 4s and 5s, going, oh wow, no, all the frame rate really upset. I was like,
Yeah.
their job's to critique it, and it doesn't work.
Exactly what I wanted. I
It's
was
like your
just
pissed
like,
uncle that you
this
really
is-
like at the wedding, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like,
Frank's at it again.
I'm sure he's touched too many
Frank's-
people the wrong way, but it's
yeah.
he's
Yeah.
Frank, isn't he? He's
Frank's on the microphone
different in the
again.
60s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a disappointment because I just really thought that this game would have been running far better than I expected. And
I was quite surprised actually.
That's my biggest like. I just can't.
It's not fair. It's not
It's
fair.
not,
People
like,
have
and
waited
I-
for this. But it seems that we're in the minority. It seems that.
I don't know how you can take pride in something like that.
Well,
Like,
again,
going on, like, having a joke and stuff, but it's disrespectful
Do you
to
know-
people like Adam who love and you who love the first one and were just hoping for some improvement to the technical issues, and then they've just gone fuck that.
I think it's like Adam. Was it a few weeks ago on the podcast? He said something, and I'll be honest with you, it's been reverberating with me for weeks now since he said it. But he said, I say he's right here. Adam, you said, you said something, paraphrasing slightly, that The Last of Us Part 2 proves to you that the gaming community and the human race will never be happy. And I think this is another one of those moments where it's like The
We'll
Last
never
of Us
agree on the
Part
right
2.
things.
Well, no, it's not so much that, but The Last of Us Part 2, I said it in the review. There are elements of the story when we do the spoiler cast that I didn't quite like. But generally speaking, I loved everything about it, and generally speaking, the story I did love. But there were just parts of it and we've discussed this off podcast, and Chris White, you and I have as well. Yeah. But the sheer level of vitriol that game received, like it took over 2 weeks before I could kind of stop really moderate. My job became moderating YouTube, and
personal
this now,
attacks on the voice actors as well.
yeah, I mean that sort of stuff. Like that sort of stuff.
That is insane to me.
Yeah.
Yep, and yet this game, whatever. We're not here to shit on it. This is just
No, I just want to also say one thing, right? And I had to go back when I was playing Deadly Premonition 2. I went back to the first one again that was released on Switch.
on
right?
Switch. Yeah.
Looks better. Looks and
Yeah.
plays better.
It
I know
does.
now, Ed, you'll say the same thing, like, Vaseline screen and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it does run
but
better.
like, it actually runs better,
It does.
and that makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like,
Especially when that game was not built for Switch. It was ported to Switch.
exactly. So
Maybe
I'm
by a
just
different
like,
team, though. Maybe by a different team. Maybe they should have finished the game, sent it off to the porting studio. Let's go from one game then that runs poorly to a game that runs very smoothly. Mick Fraser, because you have been playing. Well, you've been on a journey with SUPERHOT.
I have.
Super.
Nice.
Super hot. Oh yeah, I have. I really have. Because this confession time, right? Full disclosure. I took until about a week ago to play SUPERHOT, which is nuts because it's pretty much the perfect fucking game for me. And I just never got around to it for whatever reason. I'd always intended to play it and I just never did. And then obviously I think Mind Control Delete, which is what this is. It's not a sequel. It's like a standalone. It's a standalone game, but it kind of integrates. Like I downloaded SUPERHOT and SUPERHOT VR, which again also are so good. And then I got Mind Control Delete, and then it kind of integrates them all into one thing. So when you open any one of them, you get a little panel with all three on it, and it's standalone, but it's not, and it's weird. But anyway, I think it's been around for a while in early access through various demos and betas and things on PC. But I had always just kind of ignored it a bit because I didn't know what it was about. I'd seen people playing SUPERHOT, and when you watch it, I said it in the review, when you watch SUPERHOT being played, it doesn't look that impressive. Like, I think it kind of looks like this. It looks really stop-starty.
No, you have to play it.
Yeah, and it looks really complicated, and it looks really. And I'd seen like YouTube videos
Do you know
and
what,
stuff,
Nick?
and
Even in the video review, because it's minimalist sound as well, it's really weird because if you turned off the voiceover that's telling you, the lovely voiceover that's telling you how great it looks, you would think this game doesn't look very good, wouldn't you? You really
exactly
would.
it doesn't look brilliant. Like, just to watch it, it just put you to sleep. But when you're in it, Jesus. And I mean, so I thought, well, I downloaded SUPERHOT, and then I think, Adam, you said that you've got to play VR. If you've got VR, you've got to play SUPERHOT VR, because I think you even said it's one of the best VR games out there, which I was tempted
I think it is the best VR game.
And I'm inclined to agree.
Well,
and
it's Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Very different beast.
But yeah, so I downloaded SUPERHOT, so I went as far into SUPERHOT as I could go, and then SUPERHOT VR at the same time, and then I was playing Mind Control Delete as well. So it all became kind of a big SUPERHOT blur in my mind a little bit. But what a place to lose yourself in, though. Just such a great concept, and it's one of those concepts that people don't talk about. Like I always wonder why people don't talk. Like recently, why do people not talk about SUPERHOT more? Why is SUPERHOT not one of those things where people are like? Because I remember when.
I think it's like the VR thing is just one of it's just that, because I remember playing SUPERHOT on just like controller first time, like not outside of VR, and I was like, oh, this is unreal. And the best way I could describe SUPERHOT between that and VR, it's like someone passing you a fucking joint and you play the first one, and then you get handed a bong and you get fucking blown clean out when you put on VR headset. It's like it has that kind of experience, I mean,
I wanted to get my wife to record me playing SUPERHOT VR, because I'm in the living room and I'm doing it because we're on camera, so people who are listening won't know. But because you're sort of moving in slow motion and you're dodging bullets, and I'm in the room here, like I'm doing fucking Tai Chi, dodging bullets. And
the moment when you first catch a bullet in VR,
it's just unreal.
Like, you just sort of come to the side and just go. Really slowly move your hand towards it, and then you're like, grab it.
Yeah.
And then just throw it back.
But it's watching it. It's when you do the Matrix thing where you dodge it and then you watch it.
Watch the bullets so good. It justifies VR. Like games like that are what makes you go, maybe this isn't sort of a gimmick. Maybe this is a game like that. Genuinely, my kids don't really play VR. Because they would have to come and play out here, and they just want to sit in their rooms and play Xbox. But my sons both went through that game. That game in VR
good.
That experience doesn't exist anywhere else. That experience is unique.
It's the closest thing to the Matrix, as you were saying there, Mick. Like
I mean, they left themselves in a bit of a corner. Like they really painted themselves into a corner, SUPERHOT team, a bit with how good it is in VR. Because it's like, how do you top that without doing it more in VR? So I played through a lot of SUPERHOT. Then I played through a lot of SUPERHOT VR, and then I thought, right, I'm suitably acclimatized or acclimated, however you want to this world now. I'm going to play Mind Control Delete, and then it's just a whole new fucking ball game all over again. Like it's not even just, it's not the same as VR, but I don't know if so just a quick update or a recap, shall I say. So what Mind Control Delete does is it takes the normal SUPERHOT, the original SUPERHOT, and it turns it into like a roguelite experience. So as opposed to just like moving through, because it's quite linear, the first SUPERHOT, you go through the missions and you die and you start again, you keep going until you get through it. You have this weird, that weird meta world where like, you can walk behind yourself and shoot yourself in the head and all that sort of weird shit. And then the VR one does something similar. But this one it turns it into more of a roguelike thing. So you begin a run with nothing, it's just you. And then it random, so it must be hundreds. I don't know how many there are. There must be hundreds of scenarios, and it randomly picks them. So you've got like a little grid, and then a little white cursor goes down the grid, and then it stops on one, and that's the mission you're doing. So you go in, and then at certain points along this sort of matrix of missions, there's hacks. So you get to pick a hack. And then the hack will be like, I don't know, you might get one that makes all the thrown items explode on impact, or you might get one that makes you explode when you lose a heart. So, and it gives you hearts. Sorry, in the original SUPERHOT, you just die. If you get shot, you just die and you have to start again. In Mind Control Delete, it gives you 3 lives. So you can afford to take risks. And because you can afford to take risks, then it also offers you things like these hacks where taking those risks is rewarded more. So it just changes everything. So going from normal SUPERHOT, where every single life counts and you just don't want to get hit and you're really tense, to actually being able to play around with it a little bit and go, well, actually, you know, if I let that guy shoot me, the explosion will kill him, and then I've just got to deal with this guy. And then you might get a hack in the next mission where it refills your health anyway, or gives you another heart, but then obviously when you die, it back to the beginning, but you keep the hacks you've unlocked. And every now and again you'll go, like you lose the hacks you've unlocked, but you keep, like the way Dead Cells does it, you know, where like when you find a new weapon or a new skill or whatever, it goes into a pool that then you might randomly be able to choose. That's what Mind Control Delete does. So if you unlock like the hack that makes your thrown weapons explode, you don't keep it, but it drops it into the hack pool. So next time you might get that, and then you always get to pick between 2 different hacks. It's every like 3 or 4 missions, but it's just fucking phenomenal. Like just to play it, and it's been a long time since, because I've been playing an awful lot of story. Like I went through this whole year. I've played so many like tactical games, and then I've been going through a few story games like The Last of Us and things like that. So to play a game that's just so arcadey and so knowingly like it just wants you to play it. Like it doesn't. It even cuts out all the stuff from the other SUPERHOT games where it's telling you to go around this corner and shoot yourself in the head. None of that's in it. All you get is a screen that says more or no more, and that's it. If you want to keep playing, you just keep going, and if you want to stop, you just stop. There's no menu, there's no nothing. It's just you just play the game, and I don't think I've seen another developer recently with such a handle on what makes a game a game. Like it's exactly. It's just like fucking play it or don't play it. There's nothing else in it. They don't try and achieve any other level of storytelling or emotion or anything.
Because it's just the gameplay is just so good. That's
and it is. I mean,
the idea is unreal.
I'm so close to giving it a 10. I just stopped.
You know what bugs me a little bit though? Like the ingenuity, the inventiveness of the SUPERHOT games. Sorry, Chris just there plopping away with his drink. I feel like if they, like the adoration that say someone like I don't want to pick on them, but I'm just the first one that comes to mind. Someone like a CD Projekt Red gets. I feel like people should be talking about SUPERHOT Team because what they've done with those games, right? And they've made a few of them now.
Yeah.
You know?
See, I think it's a visual thing. I think it's what we said at the beginning, where when people see, like, if you put SUPERHOT on an advert, like a big,
you couldn't make a trailer.
Yeah,
of
you
it
know when you go to like
maybe.
cinema now and you get game trailers, and like if you were sitting in a cinema watching a Last of Us 2 trailer, you'd be like, fucking hell. If you sat and watched a SUPERHOT trailer on a big screen, you'd be like, I don't know what that was all about. You know, that didn't look great. And I think it's the visual thing. I mean, imagine if SUPERHOT Team, right, made a game about a character with a story and a proper. Do you know what I mean? Not proper. That sounds really derogatory.
It's the Lucas Pope thing, isn't it?
It's the
Lucas Pope thing. That Papers, Please, the Obra Dinn. Like these are games that are so unique and interesting. And like, name another game that does what SUPERHOT does, and I'll spoil it for you. You can't.
No,
they don't exist.
Imagine if a game did. Imagine if they created a character like they did with like Prototype and stuff, where characters got these powers and it had a story, and you could do this in the real world. Because that's the thing about SUPERHOT. The premise of it is that you are in a simulation. That's what you're doing. It's not real.
But so it's Assassin's Creed, you're saying?
yeah. But I think markedly better. But if you were you cut that if you want.
Yeah.
But
No.
I think if you were if you were able to apply the SUPERHOT, that level of quality of that gameplay element to a game with a character, a world, you know, the big visuals and all that sort of, like a Sony game, I think that would just be. I can't imagine how good that would be.
Yeah, I think we get sick from how good it'd be.
Is it just on PC at the minute?
No, this is the thing. Like
Mind Control Delete. No, it's not, is it?
It's come to PS4 as well. So,
has it?
Well, they literally we knew about the release date, and we were under NDA for the release date and the review code. But we were very much, I believe, led to believe it was just PC
and Stadia.
And
then
on the review embargo day and the day the game came out, there was like a PlayStation 4 announcement trailer. So I assume it's on everything.
Fucking brilliant!
Yeah, I would urge anyone if you
Yeah.
like
Oh
Super
man, I didn't
Hot,
realise.
Mind Control Delete is just another level of. It's just so good.
It just it is. No, I completely
Wicked.
agree with you, Mick.
Quality.
Like when it first starts giving you the hacks, and you're like, it is. It's one of those things where you're like, how could they actually? Because it does. Super Hot feels, and VR felt like the culmination and completion of what this could be. Like it felt like it was amazing, and then VR took it that level when it's like, well, there's nowhere else you can go with this. This is like so clever a way to not reinvigorate, but just refresh and have you play again. What they do next will be again. It's like the Lucas Pope thing. They are now a developer. I mean, they're called the Super Hot team, so I don't know what you do with that as your name, but yeah. Before we move on to listen to correspondence, Chris Hyde, The Last of Us.
Yes.
Anything else, or just The Last of Us?
I mean, sadly, just The Last of Us.
Sadly,
That's all you need, Chris.
I'm so close. Honestly, I think I'm about an hour away from the end, so almost at spoiler cast territory.
I feel like you can't be if you think you're an hour away. Oh, I know where you are. No, I'm telling you now, you're not an hour away. I know exactly where you are. You might think you're an hour away.
Do you know where I am?
I bet you I do.
We'll discuss off.
I'll tell you what. No, when we finish this little segment here on the podcast, get your phone out, text me because mine's just there off camera. Text me exactly what's happening in the story, and I bet you I'm right. Okay.
Have you seen the tractor?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't bother texting me. Thanks, Ad. Yep, so you've obviously been playing just The Last of Us, and you're nearly there, and nearly about an hour away.
So about an hour away. Okay, good.
Maybe I'm still not convinced. That's fair enough.
I'll message you.
Yeah, do.
I wish I'd played more of it. I haven't had time.
You'll get there, mate. You'll get there.
I know.
Get there. I can talk about Paper Mario: The Origami King in a preview sense. If anyone has any questions,
just inject it into my hay fever eyeballs, please.
Yeah, it's a game.
I can't wait. This is going to be so good.
It is.
Good. Tell me why, because this is one that I've probably just. This is another.
I don't think you'd like it.
Play. No, it's not.
I don't think you'd like it. Why is it so good? I can't answer that because it's a preview. It's a Paper Mario game. It looks beautiful. It's the soundtrack, by the way. Ooh.
Yeah.
Like I said in the preview, it slaps and rocks, and I mean that. And I want you to know how hard it was for me to say in a preview that the soundtrack slaps as a nearly 40-year-old man. I want you to know how difficult that was. It was difficult. The soundtrack's so good. The biggest concern I have with this game is, and Chris, that text means nothing to me, just for the record, nothing at all.
Okay.
Genuinely have no idea what you're talking about, so that's fine. I've forgotten more of that game than I cared to remember, clearly. But yeah, the concern I have is that people want this to be an RPG, and I don't think it's an RPG. There's platform elements. It's an action game. Okay, I would say it's an action game with turn-based combat. But the turn-based combat is not the way you think of turn-based combat. It's not an RPG. You don't level up. You don't gain experience. You don't get stronger by. And this is the problem. So that means the only reward for battles is coins. Okay, and that means some of those optional battles I do run away from because they are an inconvenience as opposed to fun. And when you face new enemies and stuff, that changes. That's the fun part. I think some people are going to want the combat to have RPG depth. I think they're going to want leveling up, and that's not these games. And it, like I say, there's more I want to say. And in many ways, I think the preview embargo is restrictive for no reason. And that's not to say that Nintendo do it quite often. They don't want you to talk about too much of the game early on before the review. I really like what I've played of it so far. If you have any questions, by all means, fire them. But we'll talk about it properly once the review embargo's up.
I just want to know straight off, what's your favorite Paper Mario game before
so the
this?
Problem
because
with
mine would be Thousand Year Door, and then I really enjoy the Wii one, Super Paper Mario. I think that was
called. I can't remember. They have just all gone amalgamated into one big paper, because they are never that different. They vary up the combat and the story is different, but I feel like it should be the Thousand Year Door, but I can't really remember any of
Fair
them
enough.
without researching them. They don't. They don't.
This obviously just works by the sounds of it. Like, it just works in the sense of not feeling like a cheap cash-in of a Mario
no, not at
title.
all. No, it's
Like-
in the preview sense a very good game.
Yeah.
Adam, Carroll, have you ever played Bug Fables?
Do you know, Chris? I have it, and I've yet to play it.
Mate.
I know. I heard
That'll
it's supposed to.
that'll scratch the itch.
See,
Even
that's
though-
like
even though-
Thousand Year
even
Door.
though- Yeah, even though the Switch Paper Mario isn't like RPG as Adam says.
Yeah,
No.
I've heard some great things about
Bug Fables is more like the Thousand Year Door.
Much
Yeah,
more,
yeah.
much more like the 1,000 Year Door. It's wicked.
But we will talk about that more in the weeks to come. Let's get on to some listener correspondence then. I haven't seen these this week for the first time. I'm actually unprepared. A build-up of joggy elastic at Primark causes an energy Ned bomb with the potential to end the world.
Oh.
Christopher Hyde. He didn't put that. I've added that. How do you spend your last day, and what would your last meal be?
What's a Ned bomb? What am I missing? Something?
I don't know. That I just.
Is it essentially there's an apocalypse?
Yeah,
What's
but the world's ending. What
Sounds
do you do?
nasty.
Yeah, what's your last day and what do you eat? So, I mean, mine's probably going to be the first part answer in terms of what do I do on my last day is probably quite boring. I think in terms of lockdown and stuff, I've not been able to spend much time with my family. So if the world's ending, screw it. Social distance is out the window for a day.
Yeah.
Vegas is what you're saying.
Okay, yeah. To be,
Am I the only one who just
take
sits
the
there
kids
hugging
with
my
you,
wife
it's a
and
yeah,
family
I was
time.
going to say hug my mum in Vegas with strippers. Yeah, there we go.
That's a hell of a teleport you've invented
yeah.
there, mate, to get you there that quick. I mean, am I just the only one who sits there hugging my wife and
Hug-
kids crying?
Yeah,
No,
hugging
I'm gonna
hugging my mum definitely was one of the things. I think in terms of
See, I've done that. No.
Yeah.
Your
Last
mum.
meal?
Sorry, your mum.
Oh, you've
I've hugged your mum.
she's great, isn't she? She's
Oh,
so good.
lovely.
She's
We'll
got
leave it
good
at that.
hands. Good hands.
So I've had.
Not the hands, mate.
Yikes.
It's a smile.
Wow.
It's a smile.
This is
You're
unself.
dirty. That was uncalled for. Just
So-
that I would be in a. Carry on.
Anyway, so food wise,
Yes. This is a really hard question.
you didn't just hear Mick, did you?
Yeah, I did. I'm trying.
Okay,
I was hoping no one would draw attention to it.
Oh, apologies. Yeah, this is hard. This is harder than
I
what I
don't know
do.
all the
As was. Never mind.
No, come on. Come on.
Just name a meal and we'll move on. Pizza.
That's his mum.
Fillet steak. Fillet steak.
Really?
Yeah. Fillet steak with some good chunky chips, peppercorn sauce. That'll do.
Bombay bad boy pot noodle in Las Vegas with the hookers. Sorry, strippers. They're not. And Chris's mum.
That'll do. He said though. At the end of your meal, you went, "That'll do." Like this is you.
No,
can have-
no, not that was a 6 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
No, like, that's a solid meal that I'd be happy to have at the end
Okay.
of my life.
Okay. It just I got the wrong idea. Mick Fraser, go on, Em, your turn.
Behave.
I've already listed it. Yeah, pot
Okay, fair
noodle,
enough.
Las Vegas, Chris's mum.
Right? No.
Can that not be the name of the podcast, please? Can we not
Chris's
have that?
Yeah. No, it can't be. It can't be. I'm afraid. As much as I really want it to be, it can't be.
You know what? I don't like anything fancy food-wise, so I can't even think of like something that. Do you know what meal I always go to in my mind? This is probably gonna gross people out, but not even mentioning anyone's mum. But you know when you're at school and you used to have that meal that you always had at the cafeteria or whatever because that was your go-to. And for me, it was chips, cheese, and gravy,
Oh, Christ.
and Bernard Matthews chicken drummers, which probably tells you a lot.
Oh.
But so I think if it was my last meal, I would probably some sentimental part of me would probably want that.
Did they make chicken drummers still?
They do,
Yeah.
I think. I don't think there was ever chicken.
There's
in
more chicken in them
No.
now, yeah.
Yeah, there must be some actual. Well, there must be chicken in them now.
them.
I
There's
think
probably
is
some chicken in them. Yeah, but those, and I used to have those with chips, cheese, and gravy, and that was my school meal every day, and it cost like
Oh,
£1
the
or
toilet in
something.
your school must have been a
Oh.
disaster.
Did
Imagine
everyone
cleaning
else?
that porcelain?
Here
Did everyone
comes
else-
Mick, cheese and gravy everywhere.
It
God,
wasn't just
damn it.
me. Wasn't just me.
Did everyone else discover chips and cheese at school in the canteen?
Oh, chips
Is that the
and cheese,
kind of
yeah.
time when everyone else discovered it?
I didn't. I discovered it on a Friday night after a few beers.
Hey.
See, I put it on
canteen.
Twitter, and everybody was like, "What? Why are you
My-
eating chips?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
with
My
mean,
Adam
school
there.
didn't have a canteen. Fucking death.
Same, it's an Adam thing. I didn't have canteen
I
meals.
kid you, I just sit in the hallway, or else just go to
Well,
Nelly.
me and Chris went to posh schools here in East Anglia.
Fair.
Well,
But it's in
Adam.
Canada,
Oh,
they have it,
sorry.
don't they? It's called is it poutine? I don't know how you pronounce
Duck
it.
à l'orange?
Poontang?
Poontang, yeah, no, that's if you're bringing up that's the Las Vegas
Poot-
thing again.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. What the fuck was this?
Poutine, I think it's
Mick, you're a
poutine.
bad influence to
Poutine,
make
isn't it?
Chris.
Poutine, yeah, poutine. And it
Poutine,
was like
yeah.
chips, gravy, and this is
Yeah.
rotten, but like I hate the word curdle, and it's cheese curdles.
Yeah.
Curds, isn't it?
Curd.
Curds even worse. Oh, yeah.
Adam, your turn. What do you do? What's your meal?
Don't say sausages.
What do? I sit down, play Breath of the Wild, get absolutely flaming off whiskey, and have a burger, pizza, sausage, pudding, sandwich.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to blow off Chris's mum and go and join Adam on the last
Well,
day.
I'm just presuming your fiance has like already died from something horrible weeks before, and that's why you didn't even mention her. Like,
I'll share my sandwich with her, like, you know, like, oh, that's something awful.
Casualties, you know. It's the end of the world. Do what you've got
But
to
yeah,
do.
something like that, and then say hi to family. Yo.
oh, they'd get a look in.
But I just ring them because you haven't got time to travel. It's your last day. You've got shit to cook. You just be.
No,
Yeah.
no, hang on. I don't think people are cooking it. I mean, I think.
Oh,
Go on, Anna. What's yours then? What's yours? What's your final meal?
Listen.
You're going to say something.
Chris first. And then that'll lead into why I'm saying that. Chris White.
I would have the best gourmet burger I could possibly make.
Like a skyscraper thing.
Yeah, like 3 patties, bacon, cheese, pulled pork, mushrooms, onion rings, on a toasted.
Gherkins.
Do you toast your buns?
No, no. I kind of.
Bit personal.
I just put them on the grill for like a little bit.
I never toast my bun, and I always like my cheese cold.
I only want it just to kind of just lightly crisp the inside. But yeah, I would do that, and then I would get some. I would spend it with my family, obviously, but I'd probably do something like heroin.
Everyone's doing that afterwards.
Because
heroin with the family. Fuck it.
But like,
ER girls.
if
You never
if
get,
I'm-
doesn't matter now, does it?
if I'm going out, I want to do it as peacefully as I can.
I don't know if
If
that's
I can't
peaceful,
get
man.
any, I'll probably just have a joint. But
What if you take heroin for the first time, Chris? Obviously, and then just have a real bad trip and just like shit all up your own pants and all over the walls and stuff. And
Wow.
like,
Everyone's
you
going
want
to
to go
die.
out?
I
So
wouldn't have to live with it, would I?
No,
What'd be
that's true.
worse is if I did do heroin and then the world didn't end, and I'd be addicted to heroin, and then
you shit all up your
What
trousers.
kind
And
of?
a shit all up my trousers.
I don't
my
know
family
where this
knows-
podcast has
Oh.
gone.
And a family none too impressed with your last choices
Yeah.
there.
So yeah.
Well, they're all on it too, by the sounds of it. So
Yeah.
it's
No, I wouldn't inflict that on my. I'd ask Lauren if she wanted some, but the kids can just have like.
oh dear. Would you careful?
This has gone down such a dark.
You asked. Who asked the question?
I didn't.
I ain't got the
I suppose
spreadsheet.
by proxy, I did. I'm guessing that was a Thomas question because I reckon
Thomas.
Ed Bomb is
Thomas's fault.
Come on, so Adam,
Primark.
cook. Tell us
Right.
your meal.
my meal. I don't
Chips.
know
You've
if
got
I would
chips
waste time.
Fucking say shitty chips now.
I wouldn't have chips now. Come on. I wouldn't waste time, my precious minutes, having food when I was literally going to expire.
That's
we
the
got-
question.
It's the
though.
question.
It's the
You got a
question.
day.
You can't
It's
just
the last
change
day.
the question.
You've got to say your last meal. So you could have had the last meal like the day before, really, couldn't you? You're
Well, no,
not
that's
sure-
just stupid.
You've still got
Come
to
on.
answer the question.
Still your
about what
last
you would
meal.
eat.
I would have my wife's carbonara, which is not a euphemism, Mick Fraser.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yes, you were. You
Okay.
were literally 3 seconds into thinking it,
Yeah,
and I hadn't
it's
even
not
said
as
it
good as
yet.
Chris Mum's carbonara.
No, it's probably not. More bacon.
Oh,
Come on.
I probably have to cut that. No, I'm not cutting that. It's a joke. I don't mean it. I have my wife's carbonara with
I
a
love you, Chris.
garlic bread on the side, and then we have a bit of chorizo and a bit of bacon in it. Both. We have both in it because it's the last meal. What do? It's so boring. I just spend time with my wife and kids because
No heroin.
no heroin.
Right.
We have a break from it for the last
Your
day.
loss. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
my loss, yeah. No, I just spend time with my wife and kids. I know it's terribly boring, but they're everything to me and they're all I ever wanted. So, I mean, it sounds miserable and boring, but that's I can't. I cannot. Anyone who knows me knows I would love to. I mean, I just did it. We'll make a joke as much as I could, but I can't joke about that because I genuinely mean it. Sorry, that's what it is. Right, Chris Hyde, what are your predictions for the forthcoming Xbox event? What games would you like to see?
Okay, so I think we're going to see probably a new Fable. I would have thought in its glory. I want to see more of the new Hellblade as well. I'm looking forward to seeing more.
That'll be a hell of a mood raiser. That will.
Not because I'm up for a party, but because I want to see more of it. I think. Well, obviously we have to. I want to say price. Do you think they're going to jump first and do price?
I hope they do.
I hope they do.
I've got a feeling they will.
I think they have to because we are way too close now.
I know.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling they will. You know,
I think they
announced
have
at the end. It'll be announced.
The problem is there's a rumored second SKU of that console in the way that PlayStation have done it, and you can't really announce the price of one until they're both known. So unless they announce the digital version and the prices, because we're going to be in August soon. By the time that Xbox event's done, we're going to be in August. And people are going to want to start taking pre-orders for those things.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's took them this long, to be honest, to get all this information.
Well, this is very much, I think, who's going to jump first.
Yeah, exactly. But if they don't do it now, when are they going to do it?
See, that's what I think it'll be Xbox, because their console's going to be cheaper, and I think they comfortably know it's going to be cheaper.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think they're going to happily go, and then Sony will just have to come out and say, well. You know, this is what it costs, but you can play more games on, or whatever they're going to say afterwards. But I definitely think Xbox will be the ones that announce the price first.
It might not be till August because you think that's Gamescom month. You might not get the price just yet, I don't think. I'd just say my predictions, very safe. Halo, Forza, Fables, I agree. A Perfect Dark, I think we're going to get a Perfect Dark reveal, which I think is a massive, massive mistake. Yeah, I think so. I think it seems mental because Perfect Dark and Halo, you don't need two.
What about Splinter Cell?
No chance.
But Perfect Dark?
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be Perfect Dark, really?
I actually agree with that, yeah. I think
and we'll see more of that. I've completely forgotten the name of the game. The Rare are making another game, aren't they? They announced it.
2.
No. Another one. It's what's it called? Can someone Google it? What's that Rare game called? They announced
Viva
it.
Pinata 3.
No chance. No. Rare games. That's not going to help Google, is it? Rare games. What the hell game are they making? They have announced it. I'm not making this up.
Everwild. That one.
That sounds right.
That's what we've got, Everwild.
Yeah, Everwild. Yeah, that's the game. Yeah. Yeah, I think they'll show some of that. Anyone else? What do you...
That's enough.
Did we all say Forza? Forza will be there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping... I'm kind of hoping they get some, like Perfect Dark. The reason I want Perfect... the reason I'd say Perfect Dark might be a mistake to announce a Perfect Dark reboot. But I think it would be.
Unless it's not a first-person shooter.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they don't have to do Perfect Dark as a first-person shooter now.
So you're saying like a gritty Lara Croft style Tomb Raider reboot for Perfect Dark?
Yeah, I would take
Geometry Wars 4. I would actually be quite happy with that.
You know what? Because I'm one of these people that say that I don't think Xbox have got a lot. Like generally, they don't have a lot. They have the Forza, they have Halo, they have Gears, which sometimes that's enough. But they've got a back catalogue as long as your arm, which they don't really tap into. Things like Perfect Dark and stuff like that.
Gex 2.
Oh, whoa.
That was actually Sony, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Banjo. Do they still own Banjo-Kazooie? Yeah, that's Rare, right?
It's Rare.
I mean, it's Rare, so it should. Yeah, it would be
Nuts and Bolts. That was really popular, wasn't it?
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me, I mean, it would surprise me because they're probably not going to do it, but it would be a good idea if they were to say, especially with like Sony doing the new Ratchet and Clank, which blew everybody away because it looks fantastic.
I mean, it's interesting because Banjo and Kazooie are in Smash, so you kind of feel like they might be setting something up. So there could be that, like, that'd be an avenue to go.
Battletoads 3 released at the same time as Battletoads 2, whoever it's called.
Yeah. I think Battletoads 3...
Enslaved 2.
They're going to show that, aren't they, Battletoads 3? They're going to show...
2.
2, sorry.
I just made up 3.
Yeah. But
Microsoft is such an enigma in this respect because they do have studios now. Like there's the rumor going around that they're going to be acquiring part of Warner Brothers division of games, which would mean they would end up with like presumably NetherRealm and stuff, and I don't know what that would mean, but I kind of think what I want to see is I want to see Halo. Obviously, I want to see the obvious ones. I kind of want them to. I think it's time they have to show what these studios they've been buying are doing.
I'm really over Halo though, like really painfully to the point where I know you, and you know me when they show it, and
that train.
I'll be back on it. But right now, I don't get anything, no stirrings whatsoever from Halo.
You will. I know you too well. You will.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, Chris White, either of you got any Xbox predictions or what you want to see?
No.
No.
I'm honestly not massively excited.
You shut down with Splinter Cell things, so.
But that's
all I got for you. No, you
did.
I'd
love a new. Why is there no new Splinter Cell? What's happening? I know that's
because people like Adam Cook are going, it's not happening. But we'll get Perfect Dark. Huh?
Shocking.
He doesn't work for them.
I mean,
it's not his decision.
Maybe we get a teaser for the Arkham, the Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights.
Yeah, because the Suicide.
No, because Warner Brothers are doing their own show. Remember?
Well, I don't know then.
I mean, they could. They
do. See, Chris, see what he's doing?
We just I try and.
He knows the whole presentation, apparently.
Some joy in it, and no.
Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something?
Xbox none.
Let's move on. Chris White, we'll start with you then. I don't know who wrote these questions, but I'm guessing this is Thomas. I found a grey chest hair this week, so assume I'll be dead of old age shortly. What was the first sign of aging that you discovered, Chris White?
Oh, shrivelly balls.
Oh,
no, not
interesting.
Really. This is all grey hair.
Yeah, I got lots
of all round massage, like Paulie from The Sopranos. It's just here, and then there's the odd bit like here, but grey hair, big time. I'm starting to get grey hair in my. Oh, it's everywhere.
In your what, mate? Because this is an audio podcast.
My beard.
I don't want people thinking otherwise.
No, so far down below, still nice and normal. I'm waiting on it. I think that might be the moment I break. But I'm all right. I'm all right with grey hair. It's fine.
Anyone else got any?
Yeah, okay. Anyone else got any? I think when I realised I could no longer keep pace with Chris's mum.
Oh.
Wow,
yeah, that's quite depressing too. Yeah,
and I just realised that I'm just old now. I'm not in my prime anymore.
I mean, she's older than you.
She's a girl.
I hope so, because you're like my age.
I really think this.
I hope your mum's a little bit north of me in age, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not going to say anymore. Real, no, that's it. No, nothing. No, just everyone, isn't it? We just get grey and things creak. Things creak and click now when I get off the sofa. It sounds like someone's unfolding a deck chair.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like, it's getting up when you get up in the morning. I've noticed over the last 2 or 3.
15, Adam. I don't understand.
2 or 3 years now. I've just the mornings happen, and you get up, and you have that moment where you sit in the bed, and you kind of go, oh, fuck's sake, and all your body is trying to wake. I think that's when I just really started going, oh, this is crap. Where's that when you were young? Remember, you just be like, 7 o'clock, Looney Tunes. And you just be like, basic, let's go. It's running up full of beans. Like, why does that have
some of you guys will know this feeling, but you know that thing where how fucking sprightly your kids are. Like, kids have just got so much energy, and they'll be doing something. One will be doing something on the carpet or on the table, and you'll get that dad instinct of something's being spilled. I don't know how you know something's being spilled. Something's being dropped. It's heading for the carpet. You move quicker than you should physically be able to move. Right, you get there, you stop the kid from spilling the drink or whatever you do. You've saved the day, but in that moment after that, the fucking pain hits you of what you just did, of that getting up and shooting across the room, and all of a sudden you realise that you're actually only a few years from 40 and you can't do that anymore. I get that all the time. Well, I've got 4 kids. I get that all the time. It's
for me, the thing. It's a cliche, I think, but it is genuinely one of the truest ones out there. And I mean, their cliches are cliches because they're true. But you shouldn't make noise sitting. Like,
when you sit
you
down,
know,
you go,
when you just sit down, yeah, or worse, when you get up, and you're like,
Getting up, yeah.
like, now I admit I'm a heavy-set gentleman, but I've always carried it well. I feel, and yeah, like when you sit down, and they're all went, when you're getting up, and when you realise you're doing it, it's like, oh my god, you.
And morning stretches just take
frozen.
ages now. You just keep.
I don't
stretching.
stretch. I don't think I ever stretch. Probably
You're
done it
supposed
during.
to stretch before you go to bed, like a full body stretch. You're supposed to do a full body.
You are when you're your age, mate, and you're going to bed for other reasons.
It was like
Gonna limber up.
Hold on there for seconds. It's full on.
What am I doing that? Hang on a minute. I don't know what I was doing.
What kind of stretching is that?
I don't know. I'm
Just having
limbering
a
up.
stretch off.
Well, that's what they call it now, is it? I'm having a stretch off.
Desperate.
We need to move on very quickly. I'm sorry, Chris, I didn't get to you, but we need to move away from this rule of questioning very quickly. Inexplicably, Chris Hyde, supermarket own brand sweets and chocolates can be the best. Which supermarket gets your vote?
So, I'm a brand person, but if I had to pick a supermarket owner, I'd probably go Aldi.
You could have chosen not to say that when people are calling you Posh Chris. You could have chosen to admit I'm a brand person.
He's
In
just
other words,
building the legend.
You could have chosen to say that.
Right. Okay, so at the same time as being Posh Chris, my mum's just been dragged through the mud for about an hour. So it's
I said only positive things about your mum.
Yeah,
You
there was no
may choose to
slanders.
take them that way, but
Go on,
No,
back to your brands. Your Andrex toilet roll.
Hey.
Sorry, what toilet roll do you have?
I don't know, whatever Aldi sells, mate.
Oh no, you have
Sandpaper.
to get good toilet roll.
Yeah.
Sandpaper shit.
You've got to
that
look after,
tracing paper shit they had at
hang
school.
you've got to look after your ass, mate.
Is
Come on.
this why I always have a sore anus?
Yes, if
Yeah,
you're
you
using
go in
that
and buy a-
tracing paper, if you're
You
using
go in
cheap
and buy a
toilet
pack of
roll,
Tesco Brillo pads and
Who
think
are
they're
you?
toilet paper, you fool.
You're going to spend anywhere, mate. Spend it on your ass.
you got
Possibly
5-ply
more
quilted.
absorbent.
Yeah,
See, I'm getting it the wrong way around. I like brand beans. So
What?
you should have brand toilet
Out
paper.
of all the
then to go
things,
we,
you
we
pick
do really.
brand
No,
beans.
we have good toilet. We have good shithouse roll. Don't worry, Adam. I think with you, Andrew. Then fucking don't even know an Andrew.
You do.
Oh yeah. And let's hope he's not watching. What Chris Brands? Posh Brands, Chris.
Posh brands.
Posh brands, Craig.
Names of this, boy.
He's gone right off the rails. You're a brand guy.
Yeah, so chocolate, Lindor and Lindt, banging chocolate.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Sweets, Haribo, good stuff. You know, if that's what I'd go to. But if I had to pick own brand, probably the Aldi stuff's good. They're
What's the one that does the
blatant
version
knockoffs.
of? Yeah, what's the one? Is it Aldi that do the version of the Twix? That's like, is it called a Jive or something?
They do the version of everything. And
Yeah.
it's always-
Yeah, but theirs are far closer. Like their names are like say Monster Munch is Monster Claws. Animal biscuits are called like Animal something. Like they don't even. But I don't know how they get away with some of it. Yeah.
No. If you squint, they look the same. Like you just put on the wrong glasses in the kitchen, you think you're.
They don't really taste. The
You
same,
wear
though.
glasses?
That's the thing.
No, I'm just.
Oh.
Just
I really
having a
hope
jab
you
at
did.
us now.
No, but
that's
I
all.
wanted to see him wearing like some reading spectacles and.
I'm not,
He's got a monocle.
I was going to
obviously.
say, I stole my joke.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say you shouldn't see. I don't wear glasses. No, I don't wear glasses. I wear spectacles. Right. So sorry, Mick. You got I know the answer, but you should tell people anyway because they're not me and they can't read my mind.
What?
The answer to the question that we. What's supermarket's your own brand fave?
Usually, well, we only shop in Asda. So well, we don't actually. No, my wife goes everywhere, like Lidl and Aldi and stuff like that. But usually it's Asda. But I don't know the supermarket own brands. I don't know what they're called.
Sorry, Mick, I have to stop you there, and I have to draw attention to Chris Hyde, and say that he has just gone up. I mean, I already respected the man greatly. How can you not? But you just said the phrase, "My wife goes anywhere," and of all people, he could have had a carte blanche there.
Oh yeah,
he didn't take it.
In fact, I'm a bit
Unlike his mum.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh. Okay.
Oh, dear.
Sorry.
Oh, we've hit another level, boys.
What supermarket do you shop? Where do you like to shop?
Christ.
I'm an Aldi man, by the way. Aldi cider. Which thank you to Mick, by the way.
Chocolate and sweets, and he's like, alcohol straight away.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's got a point. But Mick introduced me to the Aldi cider, and I'm very much.
It is
a fan.
good.
it's really
It's
good,
good.
isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so much cheaper, and
Yeah. And
Surprised-
it's lovely stuff.
Surprised you've not said War Bastards, Mick.
War Bastards. Yeah, that was my wife's own brand of
Chris.
jelly tots.
Morrison's.
No, I meant Hyde. I was giving him the. Never mind. Morrison's though, Chris.
Yeah, Morrison's. It's not a
Mick
problem.
said it's my wife's own brand, and again,
Oh, right, okay.
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
well, I'm trying to actually answer Tom's question. I feel like you're just being all disrespectful to him. Bless him. He
Well,
wants to
I
know.
mean, I'm-
He wants to know the hard-hitting questions.
in terms of disrespect, I'm not sure it's Thomas that's been disrespected on this episode. Just for the record.
Technically, we did answer the question.
No,
Yeah,
true.
I just went straight to alcohol. Drinking water. I
You went
might
straight to
add, or is
heroin
it
at the end
just
of the
gin?
world.
Yeah,
Yeah, true. All right, good point.
I don't know that this episode's going to be monetized on YouTube, is what I'm saying. It's Morrison's. What do Morrison's do that's like?
Fucking top-notch bread, best bread outside
Yeah.
the Lidl.
I got a good cheese sandwich there one time.
Are the
Oh,
pizzas
cheese
good there?
sandwiches.
I've never had
Pizzas
the
are good,
pizzas.
Yeah, they
Oh,
do
that
some really
really
nice
nice,
stuffed
yeah.
crust pizzas at Morrison's.
That's a really oddly specific
They've
question.
got some nice ale as well, some nice cheese.
Yeah, there you go.
They've got some good stuff.
But sweets and chocolate.
Don't know, I buy branded. Look, you just said I'm trying to pick some brands from a supermarket that I
You
like.
sat there and said, "I'm answering the question that Thomas has asked."
I did.
But you didn't
did.
because you said bread.
Well, what did he want to know? Chocolate? Was that the
He did.
actual question?
Sweets and
Yeah, I
chocolate.
mean-
Did it just... Oh, right, fuck it, I thought... All right, in that case, Sainsbury's.
Okay,
Sainsbury's Savers milk chocolate is
Oh,
like top notch.
Hang on a
Ooh,
minute.
now I'm
Their
intrigued.
cookies. Their cookies are
Right,
so...
but hang on.
Yeah.
If Chris shops at Sainsbury's,
Well,
I-
I do. I would shop at Sainsbury's normally, but with the current
Wow.
climate, I can't get to. Can't get there.
Sainsbury's is not cheap.
Mm.
No,
It's
I shop
it's
in
quite
Sainsbury's.
reasonable. It's
See?
quite reasonable.
No, you know it's not cheap.
He doesn't, but I really appreciate the gag. I'll be honest with you. Or does he? Do you actually shop at Sainsbury's, Chris?
Yeah,
You can see it in his eyes.
we do.
You can,
It's
right?
right no, but really, it's because it's the closest one.
His mum gets discount or something. I don't know. She
How?
works there. Staff discount. Staff. My mother-in-law used to work there. You get.
He's gonna
well,
fucking throw them in.
I genuinely actually meant
bashing.
he works there. Right. What would Chris Hyde? Here's your chance to redeem me everything about what Mick said. I'm not sure this works, but what did you wear as a teen? I want to go first because I think everyone's going to say the same. We're all the same age. What did you wear as a teenager, Chris Hyde, that you would be mortified to be seen in now?
You were a rapper,
Mick,
weren't you, Chris?
Mick, I'm just going to ask you that the joke's been worn now.
I'm not going to say anything about anyone's mother.
Okay. So what did you wear, Chris Hyde? That
So-
you...
I like most people probably. Everything was black.
Oh.
Those jeans that were ridiculously thick at the bottom that you just
You were a
didn't give
goth.
you didn't give. I wasn't proper goth, but I was into like that sort of music at university and stuff, and like you just kind of the jeans you just tread on and didn't give a shit because they were far too long anyway.
Okay. So
but-
you've not said what I thought you were going to say.
I mean, it depends. I don't know. Well, sorry.
Wow. No. I honestly thought everyone would say the same thing because I feel like everyone had this phase. So you're
Yeah.
you're like, what? Sorry.
No, carry on. Carry on.
Oh, so what was yours, Chris? Are you just like goth clothes essentially?
Yeah, essentially, I'll go with that.
Okay. Nick.
Yeah, I'm at my school. Everybody was either they were either a greb, right? So it was
Yeah.
just
What?
like So it was just like
Like a
it was-
goth.
goth, grunge, rock, anything like that.
That sounds like a pastry from Greg's.
Yeah, no, greb, or you were because of greb, and
Yeah.
What are you? You're saying words. I know that much.
or you were a rapper.
I was going to say Greb, but I didn't think anyone would get it. But Mick's
And
just gone whole in.
The rappers were brilliant because these guys used to, I mean, they're all like fucking accountants and shit now, but these guys used to roll up one trouser leg, pin roll a trouser leg. You must remember that. It's not just me that saw people
Oh,
pin
yeah,
rolling
yeah.
trouser legs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You must have, Chris, from really Manchester. Must surely to God. And so people you'd have like really baggy rapper trousers, like MC Hammer trousers, but then one leg you would roll up like past your shin for fucking some reason. I don't even know why.
And to be clear, you would be
Hold up,
mortified by this.
Hold up.
I would if
hold
I.
up.
Oh, Christ,
Are you talking?
No, see, it's slightly different.
Okay.
Because they were proper baggy trousers with massive trainers and huge tongues. You know, we used to have like the Reebok Air tongue that used to pump air into you.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was wearing like massive. Everything was baggy. Everything trousers hanging around their asses. I didn't, but that's what because I was very unpopular. I was very just like the normal kid who just used to wear like just a pair of jeans and a t-shirt.
Straight edge, they call it, Mick, back then.
Yeah, completely non-extraordinary.
No drink,
ordinary.
No drugs,
that's the
no
word
sex.
for that. No, none, nothing. Well, sex. No, drink and drugs, not so much.
Count solo.
Yeah, no. I could tell you some stories that would turn the pod blue, so I won't. But no,
really, you would turn the pod blue, would it?
Turn it.
It would turn it blue.
Okay. Yeah.
So short answer: greb trousers.
Greb trousers. People. I was really boring, but everybody else was cool.
Okay. Adam Carroll is the youngest member of the podcast. What did you wear as a teenager that you'd be mortified to be seen in now?
Nail varnish.
You'd be mortified by that?
I wouldn't be like. I definitely wouldn't be like at the time. It was like a thing. It was like an image. No,
it was edgy, wasn't it? Then
that was it. Yeah. Like I wouldn't like be more. I just wouldn't be like. I wouldn't know why I'm doing it, so I'd be opening up questions to it. So like there'd be nail varnish, and probably I used to straighten my hair quite a bit, which was brutal. That was really bad. Clothes wise, I used to wear a lot of like boxer shorts hanging out.
Oh,
skater kind of thing. It was the real skater kind of thing, sorta. Where I used to.
Do you remember Twisted Denim? Do you guys remember when that was like a massive thing? It probably still is, and that's how it touched on. Do you remember when everything was twisted, like Levi's twisted jeans, where they literally like the seams were like fucking backwards, and they were the most uncomfortable things to put on. And I used to have actually this will do for me. And I wasn't even that young then. I was like 21 or something. I used to have Levi's twisted jeans and a Levi's twisted jacket, and I used to wear them together like denim and denim. Yeah. And I just wouldn't go out wearing that now. I mean,
that's called the Canadian tuxedo.
Is it?
Double denim, yeah.
I looked like it had been ironed while I was wearing it. But
so we got jeans, nail varnish, and Chris White.
Jeans.
Really? No one has said the thing I thought.
What? Hoodies?
So for me, I mean, I wouldn't really be mortified now. I'm very hard to embarrass, as this podcast has proved over the years. A shell suit.
A what?
I never wore a shell suit.
A shell suit when I was about 10.
Yeah, I think my parents forced me into them a couple of
shell
times.
Suit?
You know, like
I was going to say the most famous shell suit wearer, but you can't even.
What the hell is a shell suit?
It's like
Don't please, because I don't want to actually edit this.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
It's like
you wore these.
It's like if you it's like if you wore a crisp packet and
exactly what it is. It's exactly that.
It's fucking awful.
You wore a shell suit.
I think everybody wore one at some point. If you were
what?
If you were that age in the 90s, someone's parents forced you into a shell suit.
Pat Sharp Funhouse. That's what you were wearing, wasn't it?
Who's Pat
That's
Sharp?
what he was referring to, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Pat Sharp.
Pat Sharp.
Educate yourself, Adam.
Yeah.
Look at that hair.
A mullet and a half, that is.
Wow.
And forget the look of it. You've never felt anything like wearing a shell suit. It's just like the fucking worst. If it rained and you were in a shell suit, that was it. You weren't getting that off without serious help.
Lads, Pat Sharp's hair is something else.
It is.
It is.
There's one lucky guy presenting that funhouse with them twins.
Wow.
Right, and on that note, that awkward, oddly sexually charged note, That's a podcast this week. Thank you for your questions. Thank you to you chaps for being here talking video games with me and our audience, of course. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/GodIsAGeek for this podcast early, for videos early, for an exclusive private Discord. We give codes away. There's loads of stuff on there. Go and have a look. We do another podcast, Fork Off, which is about food, which is odd when you consider none of us really did answer the question about food properly. But thank you very much for listening. We really do appreciate it. We're here every Wednesday for you and earlier if you're a Patreon. Chris, Mick, Adam, thank you for your time.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you.
And let's all go and hug our mums. That's not how I'm going to end the podcast. I'm going to say we'll see you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye, everyone.